The music industry and singing on stage, two different things. Business works like any other business. You need to have good product, you need a good team behind you, you need to have promotion, you need to have money, and a lot of money invested in a project in order for it to go where you want it to go. And sometimes it doesn't. And in my case, I was signed to a very major record label in New York, which was, a dream come true for me, because I always said, I wanted to debut in America, and I did have a chance to do that. And yeah, we sold lots of records, but not enough. There's a quota. You need to sell this many records. You need to sell this many tickets at a show. And they give you 6 months to do it. And if you don't do it, well, then, they can't re-sign you, because now they just wasted almost $1 million on the project. How are they going to get that money back?
Thank you for joining us today. I get the opportunity to welcome Angelica Di Castro, the one and only, to our show today, to tell us an amazing story about how the journey, the roller coaster of an artist, works, and how through the different notes that you hit in life get reflected in the different notes that you hit in your performances. I was thinking, so when you're like, okay, do you actually say to yourself, like, what do you say to yourself? I'm not Angelica right now, the person. I am now going out there. What do you say to yourself to get ready, to get into performance mode?
I just say, you know what, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to sing my heart out like it's my last time on stage. And I'm just going to go out there and, make them love me.
That's it.
Yeah, it's that confidence of like that adrenaline rush. Like I'm going to go there. I'm going to make them hear my voice, and they're going to love it because I love to sing and I connect with the audience, and I know that there's a connection there between them and I.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to do. And I go out there and do it. So
how did you discover that, when we're kids walk around singing all the time?
Right. Yeah.
When did you first, again, I'm just curious. When did you first sort of go, people want to hear my voice? Or
very young. I think I was like 4 years old, and I'd be singing kindergarten class,
really?
All the nursery rhymes and all the songs that the teacher would, teach us. I'd go home and learn it. I was already practicing at 4 years old, and I knew that there was something there. And then my parents obviously supported me, and when people would come over, oh, come on, sing a song for them. And you bet I would, no fear. I had no fear.
And so when you're a singer and a performer up there on stage, you're already loving to sing anyway, right? You love doing it.
It's part of me,
right?
Yeah.
You love the song itself. Mm-hmm. You love doing the actually performing. You're having fun, but then the audience sometimes cheers for you, like. And did you start noticing from a young age? Did you notice this sort of thing? Like sometimes they would cheer more for this song and less for this song?
Oh, absolutely.
What did you notice about the audience?
I noticed that if you chose a song that really showcased your voice and the dynamics of your voice, that they would really look at you and be like, wow. Like, let's say I was 14 years old singing a song that maybe a more mature singer would sing.
Okay.
And so that I would sing it and they'd be like, wow, that voice came out of this 14-year-old. Wow. And the applause would be grand. And I knew that I got them, like I held that note at the end and I just know I got them where I want them, kind of thing. So definitely, it's based on a song that you choose that showcases the best of you as a singer.
Right.
And that's what I would always aim for. And people sometimes would say, I don't think that's a great song. I don't think you should do that. And I'd always stick to my guns and say, no, I'm doing this song because I know it's going to be powerful. I know they're going to love it. And sure enough, I won all the competitions and, my local community, and then it just went from there, just winning awards because of this.
When you're developing as a singer now, this is going back to that time.
Yeah.
Yes, there's the passion part of it, but there's a lot of work. There's practice.
Yes.
There's a technical side to this. You got to understand how your vocal cords are working.
Right.
You got to understand that it has to do with what you ate, how much sleep you got that day. What are the help me understand, what are the technical components? We don't even ever think about this. We're like, oh, you got a great voice.
Yeah.
And that's
a lot that goes into it, right? So I study classical voice, which is probably the best way to be the best singer you can be. It's the foundation of all singing, I say.
Okay.
It's just like the dancer who dances ballet. So if you know how to dance ballet, they say it's a lot easier for you to dance other types of forms of dance.
Okay.
So classical is what's going to teach you about posture, breathing, certain types of vowel sounds that you make with your voice that just make it more easier to sing, tonality, texture, and so on. There is, like you said, there is a lot that goes into it. But when you hit the stage, you have to remember that needs to go away.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be a technical singer, right? And, sometimes that's creeped in for me as well. Like, am I hitting this note right? Or do I do this? And now I'm forgetting about the emotion. Now, if you forget about the emotion, people are going to see that. They're going to see that. And I've had family members, I've had managers tell me, you know what, that was awesome, but you sang more technical than you did emotional.
Wow.
And it didn't touch my heart. Like it didn't do anything for me, because it was almost like you gotta look at this note, and it's like, no, it's not about that. Look at the emotion. What am I trying to express? What am I feeling at that moment that I want the audience member to feel?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to get caught up in the technical.
Yes.
That happens not just for
just
singers.
singing, exactly.
It happens for
athletes,
all kinds of things, all kinds of people.
Exactly.
So when you first started going from you're getting noticed, your parents are supporting you, maybe you went to some kind of classes to develop this further. Sure. We're young kids at this time. Mm-hmm. You're having fun singing. You don't have to do any work. No. Now you have to start doing work.
Right.
Did that initially or at some point take away from the fun? Were you still having fun with that?
So when you mean work, you mean like the technical side?
Yeah, the technical side. So now you're going to a class and now you got to, it's not so like, hey, let's have fun at an event, at a party. Now it's this, there's no party. There's no audience. These are the things we're going to work on. It's work.
Yeah. I mean, practice is not fun. I mean, it's not fun.
So you're a kid though, and you're like, I'm not having fun. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Did you ever have that?
I always had fun because I love to sing. And for me, it was always like, how do I get better? What is it going to take for me to be better? So does that mean I have to practice an hour a day after I'm done school? And that's what I was doing. I was coming home, practicing, just hitting those scales, trying my best to hitting
those scales. What do you mean?
So like
just
like
voice scales?
The voice scales, right? Like you start low and you go up high on the piano kind of thing. Okay. How high can I reach kind of thing, right? So where's my limit? Mm-hmm. And just getting stronger. If I practice, can I hit a note and then just walk from one end of the room to the next end of the room and try to hold that note? So use my breath support. Mm-hmm. It was always like, I loved the challenge of it.
And while you were going through this at first, sometimes people are natural. They come in and everything's easy for them.
Right.
Were there parts of it that were hard for you? Did you notice?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a little bit difficult when you're asked to use a certain technique to sing better because you've been used to another technique and you're used to that all your life. And now they're saying, no, it's not like this. This is how you're supposed to sing, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, okay, so now you have to adjust to that type of technique. It still works, but it's just different. Right. So
when you're making that adjustment at first, you go from being like, I'm an expert here to I'm a novice here.
Right.
And
it's like you're learning all over again.
It's tough on the ego a little bit because first,
because it's like I thought I was doing everything right, and I'm not hurting my voice when I sing, but yet I'm still not doing the technique that is probably the proper way to sing. So or just a different technique. There's different techniques to sing, right?
So when you were first met with this, like you're new to this technique,
right?
You're kind of struggling with it at first.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
You're not used to it.
You had it, right?
It's like, oh, this is not the way I'm used to singing it. But then as time goes on, you're like, oh, this makes sense. This is actually a little easier now to remember than what my previous teachers have said in the past. So it was actually an easier way to learn how to use.
So even though it's a struggle at first, the outcome starts becoming.
Absolutely.
And how did you kind of stay motivated through these moments where you're struggling and it's not fun?
You just have to remind yourself that at the end of the day, you want to sound great and you want to be a professional, and what it's going to take is work. Everything takes work if you want to be the best at what you do, whether you are in sports, acting, painter, it doesn't matter, right? You need to put in that work. Right. At the end of the day, the results are going to show for itself, And sometimes I notice, if I don't practice a lot and I hit the stage, I personally just think, oh, that could have been way better.
Right.
I know I could have done much better or maybe put more emotion to it or what have you. So you definitely need to do the legwork before you go on stage and then sing, because it'll show. The results will show.
It's funny how with something like this, there is a lot of technical work that really isn't noticed by people who are actually doing the work.
Yeah.
And then they'll just say, I liked it.
Right.
Didn't like it.
Yeah.
And you can't tell whether it was a technical thing or
right. They don't know what
thing.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's true.
Only people who have the ear for it, who are your part of your team,
right,
will give you that sort of very, very specific feedback.
Exactly.
But then when you get up there, you gotta forget the technical and you gotta be yourself at the same time.
Yeah.
When you found yourself hitting these, like, would you say that you were able to then hit notes that you weren't able to hit before?
A lot easier, yeah, for sure. A lot easier, and just with more power, stronger. Those notes become strong because your voice is a muscle. My vocal cords are like a muscle. So the more you build that muscle, the stronger it's going to be.
Right.
Right. And people sometimes don't understand that the voice is like an instrument, just like any other instrument. So you need to practice that instrument. You need to work with that instrument in order to make it stronger and clear tone, texture, pitch, It's lots that goes into it. I never even thought of it myself, but now I'm like, wow, that is a lot.
So how do you practice emotion? How do you say?
Yeah, you take a song and you just think, what does this song remind me of? What part of my life does this resemble right now? How can I tell the story using maybe something from my life? And then put yourself in that position of when that happened and you feel it more. And like I said, the audience does really react. When you hear an audience member say, oh, that gave me goosebumps, or it made me cry. It's like,
right.
Okay, so I'm doing my job here. I'm feeling that emotion that I need to feel in order to then convey it to the audience and then take them on almost like an emotional musical journey with me. Right.
And so like we were talking earlier and you would refer to yourself as the artist, right? And I think it is a form. It's a form of art.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting that while it's art to you, to another person, they might call it entertainment.
Right.
And to me, they're literally two different things.
Yeah.
When there's entertainment, there's microphones, there's budgets, there's audiences, all the stuff. It's a business.
Exactly.
And for the artist, there's just the joy of the canvas, and the expression. Right.
It's not about the business. You're not thinking about how many records you need to sell or how many people came to your show or sold out. Like, you just want to get on stage and you want to sing, and you just want your voice to resonate.
So when you were first starting out, and this is going again back there, did you ever have a vision or an image of what your future? What did you see for yourself?
I just knew that I wanted to be a professional singer. I don't know where that was going to lead me.
Right.
But I always went after every opportunity that came my way, whether that be an audition for, let's say, Cirque du Soleil, or an opening act for Canadian artist Jan Arden, which I had the opportunity to open up for her and some other artists in Europe. It was always like, what can I do to get my voice out there and get it heard? Right. So I always went after the opportunities, like no fear. It was like, just whatever, I'll do it. Let's
We're young,
right?
Just dream away.
Dream away.
And this was the dream.
Yeah, this was the dream.
And when we're looking at this as artists as well, and as something that we would pursue, like for inspiration or out of passion, that's why I feel like, they say find something you love to do and you'll never work a day in your life.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're up there.
Yeah.
You said, I did my job, but who has this much fun at their job?
Yeah. Like I sometimes I pinch myself and I'm like, I'm here. Like I was like 3 weeks ago, I was at the Elgin Winter Theatre singing for a wonderful event. It was a sold out event. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe I'm here on this beautiful stage in front of all these people. They get to hear my voice. I get to, get all dazzled up and just sing my heart out. I'm so lucky. Like I never take that for granted, to have these opportunities to meet so many wonderful, inspirational people that I meet that I wouldn't meet every day, right? So
sounds like a bunch of roses too. It's a beautiful day, but there are also things actually along the way.
Yeah.
When you get up there, like in anything, when you get up, there's competition, right? There are processes. There are people that, producers, people that got to give you the deal or not give you the deal. I don't know. I mean, I don't know the rest of it, but
no, for sure.
When you were going through that part of it now, so it's not. So there's the singing.
Yeah.
That's solid.
And then there's a business.
That's your right. That's your center.
Yeah.
Right. But then there is, like you said, there's call it the business end of it.
Side, yeah.
When you first started touching on the business end of it and started seeing that, oh my God, it's not just about singing.
No, it's a whole machine.
There's a whole machine.
Yeah.
And you could sing all you want to sing, but
That's right.
you got to understand this piece.
That's right.
And that's not necessarily easy, I feel, for artists to understand because this is a whole lot of, there's no emotion in this.
It's a whole nother world. Like the music industry and singing on stage, two different things. The business works like any other business. You need to have good product. You need a good team behind you. You need to have promotion. You need to have money and a lot of money invested in a project in order for it to go where you want it to go. And sometimes it doesn't. And in my case, I was signed to a very, major record label in New York, which was, a dream come true for me because I always said, I wanted to debut in America. And I did have a chance to do that.
Wow.
And yeah, we sold lots of records, but not enough.
Right.
There's a quota. You need to sell this many records. You need to sell this many tickets at a show. And they give you 6 months to do it. And if you don't do it, well, then, they can't re-sign you because now they've just wasted almost $1 million on the project.
Right.
How are they going to get that money back?
So when you, that's an amazing, it's a summary of what you gave me. But if I could ask then, when you were going into this, what were from just your point of view, the parts that you looked at, you go, whoa, I didn't know I had to catch up on learning this now. Right. What were those pieces? Help me understand that.
So the music industry?
When you you started getting into the music, call it the industry now.
Now we have an agent. We have a manager.
So you had to go get an agent.
Yeah, well, the agent comes with the record label. So I was signed to EMI Records, which is
How did you find them?
I auditioned. It was like a 4-group audition. They were trying to put a musical group together of Italian-American singers, trying to promote music of Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin. They kind of wanted to put a tribute, I guess not even a tribute, but just singers, young singers who were singing the classics. Okay. And it was at the time that Michael Bublé had just came out. Okay. So they were kind of looking for that type of music. So I basically auditioned for it. They were looking for one Canadian singer with Italian, heritage. And I bet out I think 800 people.
800 people.
800 people just in Canada. And then Americans also.
Is it done in one day or is it done in rounds?
It was I think a 2-3 week process at the time. Wow. And next thing you know, I'm at the office at the EMI, headquarters in front of the big shots who basically sign these artists. And
so you'd never been there before?
No, I'd never
been. So you walk in. So what was it like the first time walking in there?
It was nerve-wracking because I was like, who are all these people? This is the president of EMI. This is the manager of A&R. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a dream come true. And again, I just went out there. I sang the song.
They asked you to sing?
Oh yeah, right on the spot, a cappella,
And so if you'd never been in there and you're also, your nerves are up, your heart rate is different.
Yeah.
You hadn't prepared for that.
No, and I was even late because I was stuck in traffic in New York City. I was trying to get to the meeting.
So how do you pull that off?
I just do. I don't know. It's just that force within me is just your fear is greater. Your strength is greater than your fear right now. And you've been waiting for this moment a long time. You've been auditioning everywhere. You've been trying to reach out to these types of executives. Now's your chance. Don't mess it up, Angelica. Let's go, right?
So there's no thought of I'm going to fail.
No, it's almost I want you to hear my voice. I want you to hear these are the songs that I grew up listening to as a kid when my parents would play records in my house of these beautiful singers singing these amazing Italian songs. And now I'm singing them for you right now.
Wow.
And then the rest was history. Then, we got signed. We did a PBS television special in Las Vegas. We traveled in parts of New York putting shows together. So it was a whirlwind. It was.
So it's interesting. So that's amazing. Thanks for sharing that because quite often it's that part of it doesn't get seen or heard about, when we watch a performer or somebody who's up there, they're like, this is so easy for them.
Yeah.
That's usually the feel they just got here. They got the call and the person didn't.
It's no.
But you went through moments where, you were stuck in traffic too, right?
Yeah, I was stressed to get there. It's this is a big deal here. They're waiting for me. And if I don't get it there on time, they can choose someone else, right?
Right.
So it was just, of course I was panicking and stuff, but I was confident. I walked in there with the confidence that I knew when they heard me, they would like me. And that's the mentality you have to have in life. And I think, especially in the arts, you have to go in there and be like, I'm going to do my best. And I am the best right now because I worked hard, and I dedicate myself every day. And this is, remember, the results of my voice now are going to show, like what I'm singing, it's going to show that I put in the work.
Was this the first time you auditioned for something and you just got it on the first try?
No, that's the thing. Like I had auditioned for so many things and it was a lot of like, okay, you made it to the top 5, but we went with this person. We're not what you were looking for, but try again. And it was this constant like, no. Like the doors were slammed in my face so many times. So finally.
This is before the big one.
Yeah, this is before the big one. So finally.
When they first start happening, you'll go home and say your parents or your team, somebody will go like, it wasn't meant for you, or there's something better.
Right.
You learn, you say, oh, I made this mistake, I'll do this.
Yeah.
But has there ever come a time sometimes where I did everything right? I did everything I was supposed to, and I didn't get it.
For sure.
And then like the morale level even starts dropping, the doubt starts setting in.
For sure.
Did that ever happen?
Absolutely. Yeah. You can audition for something and you think that's exactly what they're looking for. And then they come to you and say, well, it's good, but it's not the voice we're looking for.
Because like now the target's not even clear anymore.
Right. Now it's like, but I thought that's what you were looking for. That's what the ad said. Or, I thought you said you like this. Or, they say promises too. Like, we'll work with you, and then they don't. How many times have I met managers, well-known managers that were like, I want to work with you. And then it does nothing. It doesn't fall. It doesn't go through for whatever reason.
Right.
And you're left there thinking like, why would they even say that? Well, why
that
bother?
Hurts. That hurts.
Why bother doing that to a singer, right? As someone who's in their 20s like me at the time, 20s or 30s saying, I'm going to make you a star. And it's like, why even bother, right? Like, don't try to feed that. I don't need compliments,
Right.
I used to be taken by compliments when I was really young.
Okay.
Oh my God, like David Foster said I had a beautiful voice. I like that. Thank you. But I know I don't need the compliments. What I need you to help me.
Right.
To get where I want to go, because you can help me if you want, right? So.
And they know it too, right?
And they know it too. And sometimes I think, and it's no offense to, managers out there, but I think sometimes it can be like an ego boost for them that they're getting you all excited about the possibility of working with them. And then something comes up and then, suddenly you're not working with them anymore. It's, I just call it false hope, right?
So how do you get through that? How do you keep going to the next one, or start saying, because there's time that passes.
Yeah, there's time that passes. There's definitely disappointment.
You're getting on, you're talking to other friends who who are not singers, and they seem to advance.
Yeah.
Did you ever get that feeling you're falling behind sometimes, right? And you want to catch up.
For sure.
When you start seeing that, there's a voice sometimes that goes on in your mind that goes, maybe not this, maybe just go try something else.
Yeah, for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
That happens to Angelica?
Like,
no, really?
Of course, yeah. And I think it happens to all of us. Like, well, maybe this is just not the career for me, or maybe I'm not that good enough, as people say. Like, you start doubting a little bit. Right. But then that goes away too, because then it's like, well, maybe there's a reason for why this didn't happen, right? And you just have to move beyond it and say, okay, well, next, let's move on to the next thing right now. Like,
so you just said that to yourself and you just went on to the next one?
Well, after
or were there actual days you said, you know what,
absolutely.
I'm maybe not going to do this? Was there
well, listen, when I met David Foster when he was in Toronto, I sang for him at the Canadian Music Fest, and he actually pointed out to the audience and said, is there any singers in the audience? And of course, my hand goes up. I was like, me, choose me, right? So he's like, come up on stage. Yeah. Come up on stage and sing 30 seconds of a song. So of course I sing one of his songs to impress him.
Wow.
And I remember him looking at me like his jaw dropped, like, oh my God, like, wow, this girl can sing. And he just kept on complimenting me throughout the interview, because he was being interviewed that day. And I thought, this is it. This guy's gonna, he's gonna help me.
Right.
He can't just say these things.
That's how it works in the movies, right?
Right, yeah. And I remember even the interviewer was like, are you going to sign her or what? And he's like, well, if I had to sign any other artist again, I would sign you, because you have a beautiful place. Yeah. So the manager at the time that I had did follow up with him. And, one day he was here, one day he was there. He was out of town. He was too busy. Mm-hmm. And we tried. I tried. Nothing came out of it, right? Of course there's disappointment, because I had envisioned myself many years singing for him.
Wow.
He's one of the greatest producers of all time, especially being Canadian and doing so well, like as he did.
Right.
I was finally had a chance to sing for him. So yeah, that took a bit of a toll on me. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Because it's like, when am I going to get this opportunity again to sing for
Now what do I do?
Mr. David Foster?
Right.
Now what do I do? Exactly.
So,
yeah, I had that for sure.
In those moments, in order to kind of allow ourselves to go to take that next step, it's almost like we got to let go of that path altogether.
What could have been.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there are all these parallel lives and universes we could be in.
Right. And then you start envisioning like all the things he could have done for my career.
Right.
All it takes is a phone call.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right.
And you got to like let it go.
You have to let it go.
How did you let it go? I think that to me would be like really insightful.
Yeah. It took a lot of time. I wouldn't say, okay, maybe not a lot of time, but I would say it was a few months that I was just like, man,
it's not overnight.
This is like, this is tough. But then I was recording some albums, and I actually did have a chance to record one unreleased song from him. I got permission from his people to record one of his songs that he co-wrote with Madonna. So at least I had like a piece of, him kind of working with him, not directly, but indirectly using his song and recording it for one of my independent albums, which was great. And I was told that he actually did listen to the final product and was pretty happy with it. He never released it, so he was giving permission to an independent artist like myself to go ahead and use it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So
and that's really what I wanted to understand, is that in these moments, they are different, I think, for your experiences than they are for a lot of others. People don't, I think, appreciate or understand.
Right.
Just like how like when we say we had a difficult day at the office.
Yeah.
Right.
Same
like,
thing.
This was a tough week, guys. The sale didn't come through.
Yes.
Okay. Well, there are other customers, but there isn't another Foster. Right. So right. So
exactly.
What do you do now? Like, it's like, it's almost like your entire business.
Yeah.
Is like, right. That whole plan.
You're working your way up to that one moment. This one moment has arrived. Like, what is the chances of someone to say, is there anyone in the audience who would like to sing a song? And I'm right in the front.
Right.
Right. So, I mean.
And in that moment, you're like, look at how this was meant to be. I was here
it was meant to be.
He didn't have to say that.
Right.
He did. And I got up and I nailed it. I did well.
That's right. I got a standing ovation. I remember that people actually stood up, and he loved that. Cause like that, now that was clarification even more so that, hey, this girl's got something
and
here.
If this doesn't work, then now what?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've had that for sure.
And so, so to let go of those moments, you just kept on working on something else.
Something
like keeping
else,
your mind
yourself busy.
Keeping yourself busy.
Yeah, exactly.
So then comes finally, after a whole bunch of, it's like the tip of the iceberg. People see like, they don't see like how many times. I think Michael Jordan, I hear, is attributed to saying like how he's missed more shots than he's made, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like they count the championship trophies, but they don't know
how many
games he's lost.
Exactly.
How many games
no one
Michael
sees
Jordan
that.
lost, how many times, how
true.
many turnovers he had, how many times he lost the ball, how many times he didn't want to play the game.
That's right.
So it happens for everybody.
Everyone.
But when it happens, people don't really realize how long that period goes and what kind of a marathon it is mentally to stay in the game.
That's right. Yeah. To beat all of that.
And your voice, if you don't have the feeling, your voice doesn't sound even the same anymore.
That's right.
So if you're not feeling like happy and so on, to summon that part of your gets affected.
That's right.
And so it can really spiral.
That comes through, right?
Right?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Did you notice that? Like you were struggling with did it affect like the other work that you were doing, and you're like, you had to stay even more focused now? Yeah,
I am really good at focusing, which is good. Like trying to distinguish between, okay, that this happened, it didn't work out, but I still need to perform. I still need to be on stage in the moment. I have an audience here who's paid to come and see me. I have to deliver.
Right.
Okay? It's not fair to them, right? They don't know much.
Does that ever make you nervous? Like if you went to an audition and it's called, like, I would say, call it like your memory, right? We call it muscle memory, saying golf.
Yeah,
we remember sometimes that I was standing right here at the same moment and I missed this shot.
Right.
Right. So it stays with us a little.
Yeah.
Does that ever happen for you? Like I missed my last, 3 auditions. I'm going to this one. Now's the moment.
Yeah, it does. But
does?
then you just think, okay, well, that's gone, right? Like let's move forward here. Yeah, it's a disappointment. It's not fun, right? But it comes with the territory. Like I just say, if you don't have tough skin, don't be in this industry, because it's not for the weak, right? It's not for the weak. You have to be strong. You have to know that there's so much rejection. There's thousands of no's by the time you get that one yes.
How do you strengthen a person, a kid who's 14? One moment, everybody's cheering for you.
Right.
Like everyone thinks you're the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And the next moment, you go through a series of, not just one, but a whole bunch of people telling you, actually, you're not.
Right. Yeah.
How did you do that?
It goes back from being a performer and a great singer, but then the industry side is totally different, right? So it's two different worlds. So like I even see some young singers sometimes, and they have great voices. They have a great look. They have some original songs, and they think, hey, why can't I make it?
Right.
I got the whole package.
But you
right?
need to believe like that to go.
You do. But then they go out in the world and they try to, go after record labels, and everything's changed so much, right? That it's not like it used to be.
Right.
So they find themselves confused as to why.
Disillusioned a little.
Yeah, like why isn't this happening? Everyone thinks I'm great. I'm singing these shows. They're getting sold out, and
right.
People say I'm great, and I know I am, but now the business side of it is what's going to kind of hit you in the face in a way, because it's like there's so much more that goes into it.
And there's some pretty ugly parts to it too sometimes. That you're like, man, that was not cool.
Yeah.
Right? For that to happen, and in the world of the entertainment industry.
It's not about talent. That's what people don't understand. It's not, most of the time within the music industry, it's not how much talent you have. It's being at the right place at the right time. It's what they're looking for. It's, the next big thing, right? So I remember even Michael Bublé saying, I mean, as great as he is, he actually admitted to himself, he's like, I know I'm not the greatest jazz singer. I know there's other guys who could beat me at this, but I just happen to be at the right place at the right time, meet the right people, and that's why I got signed. So, there are other people.
It's opportunity meeting preparation.
Absolutely.
Right.
He did prepare as well, like
right.
years of struggling as well. And I remember reading his story, and it's very inspirational to see that.
Do you ever feel like when that moment in New York was the culmination of all of these auditions that you went to?
Yeah, for sure. It was like, this is the moment that I worked so hard for. That all of those no's that I got, it's okay, because now I got the biggest yes of my life, to be signed to this huge record deal, to have all these wonderful opportunities to sing in these big theaters, to be on television at the Venetian Theater in front of thousands of people, and being the top 3 PBS television special.
Wow.
We were the top 3 program.
Wow.
So it was like, this is not only the album, but now we have a whole television show to go with it. So it was awesome.
Congrats on that.
Thank you.
You deserve it. When you go through all of what you go through, starting from singing at like a party for your family,
right,
on your own for the fun of it, to having a dream,
right,
to, hearing all the no's, and sticking with it.
Right.
And then in that moment is as uncomfortable as it was.
Yeah.
It might not have even been your best performance, you might say.
I know, maybe
right?
not.
But you did what you had to do, and you closed it, and you did it, and you got to realize a bunch of it.
And I think sometimes I know myself, I don't realize it till after what you accomplished, because in the moment you're just like, okay, what we have to do next? Like, what is the next step? And now it's just like, I never gave myself enough credit, and until later, it's like, wow, how many people could say that they had a chance to do this what I did, to sing for all these different theaters and across America, and to be on a television special. It's about taking that credit and just being so thankful for the opportunity. And I realize as I'm getting older, I look at those moments as like, wow, like I had this opportunity and I'm so thankful.
Sometimes I heard this, I remember saying this, is like sometimes even on your worst day,
right,
there's a whole bunch of people that would trade to be there.
Yeah, it's
what
true.
You considered to be your worst day.
Yeah, it's so true.
To even have a voice to be able to enter an audition, to think that you had a chance to win, is another person's like out of reach.
Yeah, it's true. A lot of local singers like that never made it to that level, and they were great.
Or never started because they were afraid.
Or never started because they were afraid, exactly.
Right?
Too scared to get rejected, right? So I look at that, I was like, I did accomplish a lot. And like I said, you realize it as
That's right.
things pass. Like, that was great, and I'm proud of myself.
So after the label gets signed, again, another dream. Like, oh, how far could this go?
Yeah.
And so you focus, you stay there. And you talked about 6 months later, you sang. Again, you had to get back and forth between here and New York, all the things that you're doing.
Yeah.
You did your best. Again, success there. And then you get the news, right? That they're not, it's not failure really, because you got that accomplished.
Yeah.
And that's more than like 99%.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's like
For
the kid who got 99% of math can't be upset. They didn't get the 1%.
Right. Like I had that.
But it still feels a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
Did it?
Because you know what, when you're in a record label, what they do is they start looking at a couple of years from where you are, saying in 3 years you guys are going to be singing here. 3 years you're going to be doing this. So you kind of have this whole projection of where they see you at.
Right.
Numbers as well.
Right.
So you can't help but think, wow, like in 3 years we could be singing on the same stage as Andrea Bocelli, because at one point it was like we were supposed to sing with him.
Wow.
Which would have been, again, one of the biggest highlights of my career. But then, you know, numbers show for themselves. Like, they didn't sell records as well as they wanted. So let's say we sell 30,000, they're looking for like 80,000, right? 30,000 is still good for an unknown group who's never, we were put together like as an audition. We didn't even know each other, and we did really well. So, I mean, that was great for us. Like, wow, we sold this many in such a short amount of time. But not for the record label standard. I mean, they need to make their money back.
Sure.
They put in like close to $2 million in this project. So now they need it back fast, right? So if they don't see that, then they're like, well, if this is happening, why would we sign them on for another 3 years kind of thing? They're scared.
Yeah.
Right? They're scared. There's the fear of losing more money.
It's a business, and they have people to answer to.
That's right.
Right, who are investing.
And they have to pay people too. So we're going to pay all these, the artist and repertoire guy, the manager, the agent, the marketing guy, the publicist, whole bunch of people.
Right. Yeah. So when that happens, and you had this, you go from having a 3-year, 5-year projection to like way perhaps beyond that.
Yeah.
And then you get the news, okay, well, no, that's done. It's over. Like it's an abrupt stop. It doesn't even transition down.
Yeah.
It's an abrupt, okay, goodbye. And there's nothing tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
And so what do you do then?
You sulk.
You saw there's a little period. Get some ice cream. I don't know, for me, it's ice cream.
For sure. Look, it did. I'm not going to lie. That one hit me hard.
Yeah.
That took a few months, really process what had just happened.
Processing. I think that's a great way to look at it.
Yeah. And reflecting on it, like, okay, what could we have done anything different?
Yeah.
And the answer is no, we couldn't have, because I know we all put our heart and soul into this project, and we gave it our all the time. Right. So I know that wasn't the issue, and it was just a matter of money at that point, right? And loss of money means, they're not going to re-sign you. And so I had to understand that. That's the business side of it. It's not that you're not great.
Right.
It's not that you guys didn't sound great or do a fantastic job on these shows.
Right.
Now it's the back end. Now they've spent too much money on the album. When we were putting the album together, they had like an 80-piece orchestra. Like that's like almost $1 million, like $500,000.
Yeah.
They used like a really well-known orchestra that was played with Luciano Pavarotti, right? Like they did the best of the best. So there was a loss of money, and now it's like, well, we don't want to go bankrupt basically with this. So
you're able to sum up 3 months in about 2 minutes, but like in 3 months, there's like, I feel that there would be like phases that you go through, right? Like maybe there were 3, 4. First is like, the world's going to end.
Yeah.
And then it's like you work your way through phases.
Right.
And I think they're like these little, let's even call them like little almost invisible lines that you cross. You're going from one phase to the next. The first phase is always the whole like,
I can't believe this.
Oh, like broken heart.
Broken. Yeah. I was broken.
Right?
Brokenhearted for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And then it's like from there to like a little bit of anger and why.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So you have that you go through. When did it start turning for you? Like, because you got to come back. You did come back. You do come back. Like, what does Angelica do? Do you remember, like, when you were going through that, when did it start turning? What were the thoughts that started actually finally turning it for you to going, you got to get back up, Angelica. Yeah. You're going to go do this, and here's what you're going to do, if differently or the same, but you're going to get back up. What was those last phases there from like the broken heart, the anger? That's normal.
Yeah.
That's a human being.
Exactly.
An artist is a human being at the end of the day. You are a human being. So when you start turning that, what was the things that you started using to turn?
I think, like you said, there's that disappointment.
Yeah.
There's like, why did this have to happen? It was going so well, right? So I definitely had those few months of that.
Sure.
But then something inside me was like, wait a minute, maybe I can take this in my own hands and put this group back together and use my own finances to put this group together and try to get back on the road like we did before. And I did.
Oh.
I did manage to get...
Wow.
I did manage to audition some new singers because the other ones, you know, they kind of went off on their own. They wanted to do their own thing as independent artists, which I totally understood. And I was able to, at a time, also get another few singers in this group and put something on my own. And of course, my own investment, but it did work for a little bit. So maybe that's what kept me going, was the fact that like, I can't stop. Like we got something good here. This is a good idea. It's a good development. It's a good theme. Let's see if we can get this still going. So maybe that was what kind of saved me from, you know, just being so down and giving up.
You know, there's a fall down, stay down, and then there's a fall down, just try to get back up again. You know, just, right?
And I think it was a distraction for me.
I
was like, okay, fine. This didn't work out, but now I'm going to do this on my own. Maybe I could even do it better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, I guess because there was a bit of a disappointment
where does that come
management
from?
side. Like maybe they didn't manage us properly. Maybe they could have done something differently for us to go ahead. So maybe I'm going to try it differently now. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to go after this manager, or I'm going to ask if we could maybe headline on a cruise ship. I think that's where we belong. That's where our act belongs. They never thought of that there when we were with the label, right? Maybe we have different clothing, more modern clothing. So I kind of thought a little bit outside the box. And maybe, again, that saved me from, you know, being so disappointed of what had just happened. It was like, fine, this happened. Well, now I want to do this, and I'm going to see if I can make it.
So you started shifting the focus, is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
But you gave yourself something else to focus on.
That's right.
That was growth-oriented versus something that's in the past you can't change.
Yeah, like that was out of my control. So no, I want to be in control to see if I can get this up and running.
You looked at the things you can control.
Right.
And you just started focusing there.
Yeah.
And it started actually...
It did work.
Isn't that interesting how when you focus on the things you can do?
Yeah. I put an audition out, like an audition notice out, you know, so I'm looking for a male tenor to sing these songs.
Right.
I had people audition from the States. And that's it. We put us, you know.
And now there's action,
together.
There's activity.
Yeah, there's action,
there's
activity.
Movement.
There's movement. Yeah, the people interested in us to
and
sing.
The motivation level then goes with that.
Yeah.
And that was the turn. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
I love your story for that reason. Is that, you know, what a lot of people hear or see, like I see you on stage, say, at an event, and I think, okay, well, that's it. Like, you know, you just woke up yesterday, and here's where you are. And why did you get the call today for this?
Right.
How did you know Monique, or how did you know this event or that event? But you know, so it looks like this to me, but it's like this, like
yeah. Oh my gosh, it's a lot of this up and down.
Right.
Sure.
I mean, if I want a roller coaster, I'll go to Wonderland.
Yeah,
but
it is a roller coaster.
That's the life of an artist.
It is a roller coaster, and I was. You know, I went to that one label and fine, it went well for a certain time and then it didn't. But there are artists who get like rejected like 5 times. I know like Keith Urban is like a country singer. And I remember reading his story, and he got signed like 4 or 5 times only to get like down, like basically rejected.
Right.
How does he keep going? I don't know. Like 5 times, I don't know that I would want to stay in the game, but you have to want it bad enough that you just keep on going. But it does take a toll.
It does.
It takes a toll mentally.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't want.
And there's time,
myself.
and you got to pay bills, and you got to eat.
That's right.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And I wasn't willing to be that starving artist anymore. I didn't want that life because it's not fun. I mean, it could be fun maybe when you're in your 20s, in your early 30s. And after a while, that instability of like not knowing when that paycheck's going to come in. Or, you know, one minute you could be on this wonderful stage making lots of money. And then when that production is over, you're just in the line with everyone else auditioning.
Right.
And it's amazing. It's like, what, last month I was just doing this, and now I'm back here in this line with like 100 people behind me auditioning for the same role.
Wow.
100, I mean, probably 1,000, 100 just that day.
Right.
So, you have to decide what is it that you're willing to sacrifice.
And so that's another thing I love about your story is your definition of success, right, is really like, it's always been you, like in your journey. It's not so much you go and you say to yourself, is my definition of success that this producer? Is my definition of success this label? Is it this company?
Right.
And at each one of your stages, you're like, you come to this point where you have now your definition of success in terms of who you've become and who you are today.
Right.
The sum of all your experiences, and then all the other amazing things you're doing now, other than you singing for you singing,
right,
you're also doing some other things, and you've gone into, I understand, teaching as well.
I have, yeah.
I mean, how amazing is that?
Thank you.
You had to audition there, I'm sure, get an interview, and
yeah, well, that's
right?
true. It's kind of
it's true, and you got an audience that says, "Are you any of your students?"
I look at my students like my audience.
Yeah,
and it's funny because I remember when I was getting into teaching, that my teacher at the time, like my mentor teacher, would say, "It's like you're on stage when you're teaching these kids. It's like they're listening to you. They're the audience." You have to let them listen to you. You have to be engaging in a certain way for them to want to participate. So same thing with going on stage. Right. You have to wow them with your emotion and your voice and your soul in order for them to really, take in what you're singing. So it's the best of both worlds, right? I'm still in front of people and I'm still doing what I love.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there something as a teacher now, as a developer of someone else's voice and not a developer of your own voice? I mean, you're working on your voice all the time.
Yeah.
But developing others now.
Yeah, for sure.
What did you notice there in terms of a reward? Like, like before the audience was cheering for you. Right. Now
I'm cheering for them.
Isn't that interesting?
I'm cheering for the kids, I want them to do their best. I want them to be the best musicians possible.
And like when you think about the rewards between the two, when you're cheering for someone else's voice and someone's cheering for you, what are the similarities or differences there in developing others?
I take pride in that, like that I see them becoming better musicians because of my, hopefully, inspiration of my teachings towards them. I feel like I've helped them grow to be better as a musician. I'm taking what I know and then passing it on to them.
Right.
And I often talk to them as well about a little bit about the music industry and, certain moments that I've had that were great. And just so they understand that, we all go through things in life, in professional things or whatever, in private life, but you will overcome them, So even at their, small level of like going for a small competition, they win first place. You're not going to go in a corner and cry. That's life, right? We can't all be first place. I wish we could, right? But there's one first place winner. There's one second place. There's one third place. So they have to understand that maybe not this time. Maybe try harder. Maybe there's another time, and don't give up.
Well, I always feel like, speaking of first place, I always say like the place you're at is the one that matters. First place is first place. Yeah. If it happens to be where your place is, and so be it. But your place is more important than first place.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's
like, I thought of it like that.
Yeah, but I look at like your place. Like look at your place, the combination of things that you've done, that you've gone out there and are now doing.
Right.
There are people who could be platinum. I don't know what the labels are, what they're called.
Yeah.
Who can't say that they did this. Right. What you're doing.
Right.
So your place is, I feel like, more important.
Everyone has their own journey, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has their own path.
Do you ever see a student that kind of, you see a little reflection of yourself in at times? Do you ever see?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
There's one student, because I was a little hyper too as a kid, I guess. Like, I don't know, I was shy, really? But I was a little hyper. I couldn't sit still. I was like, I guess I just always wanted to sing and perform, and I loved the attention.
You got the energy.
I had the energy, right? Energy. So I do. There's one student who I recall is a little bit like me in that way. That and students would almost look at her like, "What is wrong with this girl? Why can't she sit still? Like, why is she always interrupting? Or why does she always want to come up on on this, like, not the stage, but in front of the class and sing something or say something?" It's because she has that within her. She just, there's something within her that she just likes being out there and artistic, and she's an extrovert, I guess, right? So
you see, you're shy. I
was a little shy. I mean,
but you're great on stage. Like,
yeah, I know, it's weird.
What's that called?
Weird.
Okay, let's just go with that.
Artist.
Weird artist. It's almost synonymous, right?
Yeah.
So I think that is so cool. But Angelica, when now you kind of look at it all, right, in hindsight, what I really appreciate about you is that while you are you're delivering art through what you do, your whole journey is actually a piece of art itself.
Oh, wow. I never thought of it like that.
Isn't that like, I mean, that's just what I see. Like, it's got all kinds of dimensions, it's got all kinds of colors, and it's a really unique piece.
Oh, that's nice.
Don't you think?
I never thought of it like that, but now that you mention it, I guess it is.
That's why I wanted to talk to you, because I was like, you know what, that's not like, there is no such thing as a typical journey for an artist.
Yeah, everyone has their own.
Everyone really has their own.
If someone comes to me and says, how do I make it? I can't tell you. Like,
really?
Don't come to me.
Right.
I don't know. Because there's so many different pathways that you can make it. And there's no A, B, C, D, right? It's different for everyone.
I think that's a really good thing to get out of this, is that your target has moved around until you finally realized it's you're the target.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
You're developing yourself and you're living your life.
Yeah.
And you even made that as a very conscious decision at one point in time. It seems like after a few steps, you were like, I'm going to do me.
Right.
And this is what I am.
Yeah.
And here you are, like in full bloom.
Yeah.
So do you feel that sometimes as artists, or especially with musicians and aspiring artists, let's just say, they have this definition in their mind that's conjured up as to what success is?
Absolutely. I think, with YouTube is great. I look at, the way that we can now promote ourselves, right? But I think sometimes it can be disillusional because artists will say, well, I got like 50,000 views on this. Like, I've made it.
Right.
And it's like, man, I wish it was like that, right? You're only as good as your last hit. That's what I always say, right? So you got to keep on delivering amazing product, but then it's more than just that as well. It's like, how do you target that audience? How do you get noticed for more than just 50,000 people who see you, right? So,
and you're one of the
ones. They think they've made it, and it's like, well, again, I wish it was that easy to say that you've made it. But.
Right. When when you say you'd like to be able to say to people, right, like, define success differently. So then, how would you now define success, knowing what you know, and knowing that it's not a label, it's not.
Right.
That is a form of success. It could be.
Sure.
But how do you know? How would you tell somebody who is an aspiring artist so that, because a lot of times when people go through this, I find, and it's not just in music, when there's that moment they don't hit the target, they fall, or they miss the target. It's not even a fall.
Yeah, they missed the target.
It's like a level of success that wasn't expected.
Right.
It's over.
Yeah.
Right? Like, collapse, quits.
Yeah.
And it's a waste of opportunity. It's a waste of talent. It's a waste of potential.
Yeah.
So how do you get that across to someone today to say, like, what have you learned about being able to define success so that doesn't happen? Because that didn't happen to you.
Right.
And I think that's really special.
Yeah. I mean, right now I define success as still doing what I love and just singing my heart out and
you're still
really embracing my passion, which is singing, right? So whether it be now it doesn't have to be 5,000, 10,000 people. It could even be for 100 people. I'm just happy to be there on stage. I'm sharing my gift, right? Because I never really thought of it as, it is a gift. I just never really thought of it like that, but it is like a gift. And I feel like every time I share it, I'm doing something for people that, maybe need to hear a voice, maybe need to hear this message of hope that I'm singing to them, right? So I look at success as like a whole combination of these different opportunities that I had, and then just being thankful for it and continuing on this journey and having more opportunities and hoping that, what's up ahead is going to be even greater.
That's amazing. I'm taking a pause because I'm about to ask something that I'm not sure how you'll feel about this, but you just talked about what's ahead. And I was just thinking about that.
Right.
because for an artist, especially a vocal artist, like Celine Dion, I think about her story. On the other hand, I think about like the Madonna story. I mean, there's such contrasts,
right?
Both very successful in their work.
That's right.
You know how the industry works, and I've known some along the way who are like, there's no more phone calls, right?
Yeah.
You want to sing.
Right.
Nobody cares to say, hey, come to my party.
Yeah.
And you've had this your whole life.
Yeah, right.
You're being invited.
Right.
You're being sought after.
Right.
And now you see the next person being sought after. And you know, we're entertainment.
Right.
I'm an artist.
That's right.
This is entertainment. And so you move from that. But even now as the person who wants to go out there and hit that note, and you're not going to hit that note forever. We're human beings.
Yeah.
Vocal artists especially.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
It's one of the tougher ones.
I've noticed a change in my voice.
Like
definitely.
an actor can age and whatever, can change their, but a vocal artist, if you can't hit these notes, then what do you say? What is the joy? What's your plan for joy then?
I mean, joy comes within. So, I mean, like, if that stops, which I'm sure it will, I'll still be singing, whether it's for my family or friends. I'll still sing because the voice will never die. Right. It's always within you.
Right.
Maybe I'm not at the level that it has been or will continue to be for a while, but I'll still have a voice and I'll still use it wherever, right? So it doesn't matter what magnitude that could look like. It could be for a wedding of a friend or just singing in my house for my family or a Christmas gathering kind of thing, right? So you don't stop just because you're getting older and you're not getting called as much. You're still going to have the voice, so you might as well use it, right? Even if it's at that small level.
I feel the voice doesn't change the person that you are, to be honest. Especially in your case, like as a soul that you bring to the art,
right?
I feel like that never goes away.
Yeah.
In fact, I feel that gets better. With more of these experiences,
right?
And so I feel like maybe we'll talk to you 5, 10, 20 years from now, right? And we'll be like, hey, what's your definition of success today?
Right.
Because you would have seen it. You would have not just seen it, but you would have walked on that path.
Right.
And I just really appreciate you sharing, everything that you've been through, not just your successes, but also the hard part. Because I think that's what defines, to me, what creates the soul. That's what makes it amazing.
Right.
It's in a piece of art, like you said, the emotion. It's not just people will look at you and laugh, but if you can make somebody cry, that's also emotion too.
Right.
And they're both powerful.
Yeah.
And I think in your story and in your experience and just the way that you're living it, you embrace all of these notes, let's just say.
Oh, I like that. Using notes.
I think you do it really, really well.
Thank you so much.
And I think a lot of people can learn from that. And I really feel that there's a place for you as to really guide, right? To really show people the way. And you kind of took to it as a teacher anyway. You found it yourself.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
So I see not only you doing great things for yourself, but I see some great people coming through you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, sometimes these heartaches or these challenges make you a better performer because now you're delving more into that emotion.
Do you ever feel that you bring that out sometimes?
Absolutely. Yeah. That could be a loss of someone or a heartbreak or anything that really, makes you feel more. And in my case, it was the challenges of, being in the music industry that made me a better singer, I feel, because now I sing more with heart than I thought I did. Like sometimes I think, I was, singing with more emotion. No, now I'm really into my
you
element.
felt the different emotions yourself.
Yeah,
You've experienced it.
Yeah.
Okay, what's coming up for Angelica? Let's give a little bit of a...
Yeah, so I'm singing in Buffalo, big Italian festival there up this Saturday, which I'm really looking forward to. And then some smaller shows in Toronto. I'm getting some tickets printed out for those. So hopefully I'll be putting out that in my social media so people can come and see me.
Okay.
I'm always updating my website. So definitely look out for that. I'll have some shows coming up as well for late summer and September, October as well.
Congratulations
Thank you.
on all of your success.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this. This has been awesome.
Thank you for coming. You've really added like a story, a perspective that
Thank you.
we've never seen. I've never heard somebody say it the way you're saying it and expressing it through that perspective. So
thank you so much.
It really means a lot. I appreciate it.
I appreciate the time. Thank you so much.